Welcome, everybody, to this first edition of Inside the Playbook with Coach Max Ward, all the way from Louisiana, Slidell. He's going to join us tonight. He's the head coach of I got my graphic up here, the NorthShore High School boys basketball, the varsity basketball team. And today we're going to go inside the playbook with him. And that just, doesn't mean that it's just going to be X's and O's on the court, diagrams on the whiteboard and things like that. We're going to get to some of that stuff, but we're going to talk about his journey, what it was all about, where he's been, what he's experienced. We want to know a little bit about everything about Coach Ward. I had an opportunity to meet Coach Ward back in 2005 when he was the first assistant coach out there at Cal State Dominguez Hills, go Toros, from '05 to '07 for mine. But I had that opportunity to meet him. We became good friends, family, became one of my mentors with coaching basketball. And it's just going to be just a great pleasure to have him on the show. And he's actually starting off and kicking off this series Inside the Playbook with. So help me welcome my first guest on this series, Coach Max Ward. Coach, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I hope everything is good out there in Slidell with the hurricane. I think it's Hurricane Delta that's hitting you guys, and I hope everybody out there is doing good, and your family, all your friends, and the basketball team and everybody. How's everything going tonight for you?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good right now. We got a little high school football game going on our campus, right on campus, so hopefully we're winning. I'm not sure how we're doing right there, but the storm's supposed to come by, tomorrow, late tomorrow. I don't think it's directly going to hit us, but everybody knows to leave or take cover. So we're kind of used to it at this point.
No, that's good. And again, thank you for taking the time to actually be with me on this show. Again, as you know, this is called Inside the Playbook with, and you're my first guest for this series. It's probably going to be like a 4 to 5 episode series, and I'm very excited about this. As you know, as I just mentioned, I met you back in 2005, back at Cal State Dominguez Hills. But do me a favor and introduce yourself. Give us that your little intro, and tell the audience who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, first, man, it's just an honor to be on this, man. You're such a great dude, Harry. I've been on you since 2005 and everything, and you've just been a great friend, for a long time. So I appreciate it. And, I'm a husband, of course, and I got 2 beautiful children. Maya, sometimes I'll make posts on her. It's my little sunshine. She got a great attitude and that type of thing, and it goes a long way. And my son, Drew, I call him my little champion. He's always competing every chance he can. And, I'm a head coach here, North Shore High School. I'm a teacher as well. And, been doing this a long time as far as coaching, teaching, way back in my days of, Dominguez Hills, as well as back to Johnson and Wales. And in that whole time, I've been a trainer as well. As you remember, we used to train some of the NBA guys out there right on the campus of Dominguez Hills with Joe Brunassar, Impact Basketball.
Right.
And, but I never stopped doing it. I just kept doing it, and I still do it today. So I'm still a trainer with many high school players, college players, but middle school players, young kids. I try to help them get better at an early age and work them all the way up.
And you always did that, Coach, especially at our kids' camps. I remember you were one of the first ones that I knew that even brought out the video to tape the free throw forms and the shooting forms, and we went one by one with, I don't know, man, like 200 campers, and you broke down their shot one by one going in line. But yeah, that's all great stuff. So what I want to get to really quick is just let's jump back real quick. Let's just jump back during your time at Johnson Wales. You were a player at that school. You were also a player coach at that school, and you're also the AD at that school, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah.
But just take us back. Let us know what was going on during that time. And I know you were playing, but was that the first time you really wanted to get into, becoming a basketball coach?
Yeah. So just to start out, getting the opportunity to play college basketball was like a dream. And when I went there, they were kind of starting a program, and we were NAIA, but we really weren't. We were just a club program when we started. So I got a chance to be a part of like starting a program. And that's when I became like a leader, because I was trying to galvanize these group of guys who were playing on the club level and trying to get them to be intercollegiate players. So right then and there, when we had our first few games, I'm holding a, players meeting. Really, it's like your pregame meal or pregame meeting now that they would do now. But I was doing it as the player. The coaches weren't doing it. I was doing it just because I was a leader. So as a player, my whole thing was I just loved the game, and I wanted to be a part of something special. So here I was, college basketball player, and I was a part of something special. And when Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, they wanted me to, they said, hey, you could be a GA, graduate assistant, work in athletics, and get a master's degree. And I was like, sign me up. I'm all in. 2 more years of college. And and as I did those 2 years, the athletic director, Tom Carmody, who was my mentor, he turns around, he coached at University of Rhode Island. He turns around and says, hey, would you like to be the athletic director and head basketball coach at Johnson & Wales in South Carolina, where I played at? And I said, when do you want me there? Yesterday? Of course. And so that kind of sparked, my opportunity to be like a real coach. So, my dream was to maybe, at that point in time in your life, you're just trying to figure out who you want to be as far as a career, what kind of person you want to be. And right there, he gift wrapped me an opportunity to be a leader, a head basketball coach.
Right.
And that pretty much getting that job, being there for 1 year, just set the table for me being a basketball coach for the rest of my life.
Well, I mean, that's great, and that's a great opportunity, right? So tell me, man, you're getting this opportunity as being the head coach, right? So this is your first time, you're brand new. So what you see as far as coaching, who are your influences? Who's inspiring you to walk up and down that sideline and become that coach and being that leader to these teams?
Well, go back to Coach Westall. He was my coach in college. So he believed in me a long time ago. And then I just try to return the favor that he did for me, because it goes so far with me. And obviously you look at all these great coaches in the pro ranks, Eric Spoelstra or any of the other guys. They're all great coaches. I try to take something away from all of them. I'm a big fan. I study the game a lot. So different high school coaches, you do have to coach a little bit different on a high school level. So there's great coaches out here that I will try to, steal a few things from. And then I've obviously been influenced by Larry Hauser, who was the head coach of Dominguez Hills when I got there, and Damon Powell when he got there. He was very influential in my development and growth. But, with the advance of, media and, our access to social media, I'm able to look at Twitter at 4:00 in the morning and listen to an inspirational, something from Coach Kelvin Sampson or Karen Lawson, at Duke. I'm able to just get these nuggets and just process them, and it makes me a better coach. And that's what I love about, social media so much, because you can learn something new every single day. And that's what makes me better. And the day, I literally learn something new every day, or grab something that I kind of understand and know, but I look at it a different way, because of the way they package it or present it. And then I learn stuff from players all the time. Players make me a better all the time. So, and there's different, some teachers inspire me in different ways, the way they teach. So I try to teach and coach, similar. So a I'm always learning and I'm always inspired. Inspiration is just around the corner. So many times they might get on this channel and get inspired by you and what you're doing with some of your guests. But literally, there's like an inspirational kid in my gym today, just like that player's story and what he's doing should be on YouTube and should be, for the world to see.
Right.
And over the years when I was coaching with you, some of the things that you had to go through was very inspirational. Or some of the players that we had to coach, what they went through, was very inspirational. So, it's all around us. We just got to have our eyes open and be humble enough or, to learn from it and then try to, help better us or help us grow.
Absolutely. And by the way, we got a couple people in our chat right here. We have Sheila, my wife. She says, hello, Coach. Good to see you. And Coach Scott Levester. Again, you guys are watching and tuned into HBTV. This series is called Inside the Playbook with my special guest tonight is Coach Max Ward. So going back just a little bit about that history about Coach Max Ward and myself. Back in 2005, he was running, I believe, it was like a basketball class. Everybody was all sitting on the bleachers in the gym. It was I think it was a Yanai gym. I don't know what they call it now, but we were there. We're just sitting there. I went in there with the intent to become the towel guy, the water guy on the team. And I remember going up to Coach Ward and say, Coach, hey man, great to meet you. My name is Harry Bulgarian. Interested to get on the staff. I want to be the towel guy, be the water guy, anything you got. What do you got? Coach Ward turned to me and said, nothing. So I said, all right. All right. Didn't see anything with Coach Ward for a while, and a couple, maybe a month and a half went by, and he saw me checking in students at the Learning Center. Students had to go in and do their assignments and their homework and stuff like that. So I'd be the guy checking in athletes and doing things like that. I even had the chance and the opportunity to shag balls, for the volleyball teams and for the soccer teams. So Coach Ward, you probably saw me all the time. And then one time I was walking out of the field house right there, or the little athletics office. You stopped me on the way and said, hey man, you still interested in that position? I said, absolutely, if you got it. He said, all right, meet me at the gym at 5:30 a.m. I said, damn. Coach had me there at 5:30 a.m. setting up the clock. So anyways, that's our history. And, we did 2 years together. Very blessed and very grateful. Learned a lot from you. Again, as one of my mentors for basketball. And again, being on that staff and with the kids there. But so during that time, you went from Johnson Wales. And, you did a little bit in between, and you land, like you said, at Cal State Dominguez Hills. You had Coach Hauser there. Then you had, you transitioned with Coach Powell. As far as that, from going from Johnson and Wales and coming down to the Dominguez Hills, tell us about that experience. About, what type of challenges, what type of transitions you had to go through. What did you see from that NAIA now coming into, NCAA 2? Like, take us through that.
Yeah, I mean, being in the CC2A, at Dominguez Hills, when I first came in, we had some really good players, and we had a great run. I think we ended up like 16-16 or something like that, 14-14. But we really won all of our games like in a row with a talented Kevin Blunt and Jacob Poole. Some of those guys are two of the better players in the record books there. And, Bobby Tassetti, one of the coaches out there, he was on that team. And we had E.J. Rowland. I mean, he went to St. Mary's, and he's still playing pro, I think. But, so just the start of it. And then we started to not be good. All right. So then we were like at the bottom. And then that's when Damon Powell came in, and we were all just hungry to win. And when I first got there, I was just hungry to be somebody, hungry to make my way in the game. And Dominguez Hills was pretty special because you're in the CC2A, Division II. You got all these other like really great coaches in your conference. You're surrounded by UCLA, USC, all these great, other colleges around you that you could go to their practices and learn from them. Dominguez Hills is 4 basketball courts. So at any night, throughout the summer, you might have an AAU practice, like the Pump Brothers, they had their practices there. You'd have tournaments there, so you had 4 courts and some of the best players in Southern California, Northern California, Washington, Arizona. So at any point in time, you might have 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 NBA players in there playing. You just had to find who they were and study, and watch them play. Because, so I'm talking about your Hardens, your Westbrooks, your Trevor Ariza. I mean, they're all there, So Dominguez Hills and being where we were was so special and I call it the Mecca of basketball, because you had all those great, talented high school players. You were in a Division II level, so you had all these great diamonds in the rough. People looked over and you got them at your school and helped them, grow into the great players they were and great people they became to be. But you were right in the middle of it. You had, with Joe Budasar being there and all the NBA guys there, I was surrounded by, great talent and the development of talent. So at that point in time, I was just trying to be a part of something special. And with Damon Powell and all the players that we brought in, we became special. In 2009, 2010, we had the most wins in school history. So you go from being one of the worst teams in the conference to being one of the best teams. We were one of the best defensive teams for like 5 years in the country. We were top 5 in defense for like 5 years. Now, Pomona, they were one of the best defensive teams in the conference for like 7 or 8 years. They're probably still going. And they did it differently than us. We did it with man-to-man. They did it with matchup zone. So, and I would study like why is Chico State great this year, or why is UC San Diego always, surprising teams, and so maybe you look at great shooting or great offense or maybe great defense, or what recruits did they bring in, and what style of play did they have? So learning back then and being surrounded in Southern California with Division I, Division II, pros, high schools all around you. I mean, there's like 400 high schools in a 2-hour radius of Dominguez Hills. I mean, there's like 70 colleges in the 2-hour radius of Dominguez Hills. So, if you look for it again, there it is. I mean, so I could say, definitely got inspired, but I learned a great deal. I mean, being a head coach at Johnson & Wales, NAIA, I knew very little in comparison to what I learned in those 11 years at Dominguez Hills.
Right. And Coach Ward is giving you those numbers and those stats. You know why? Because he used to take this little white bus, this little van, and he would drive all hours of the night. It could be starting from LA. He'll get out to Monterey Bay and turn back around that same night because he's trying to meet with a new recruit, trying to get somebody to our team, and that's how watching this man work, man, and anybody who knows Coach Ward, he has a pretty hard and great work ethic, and I can't clone that, I can't mimic that. I can only say, I see what Coach Ward is doing, but I'm sure he's doing that in all aspects of his life, everything that he's done. From the time that he left Dominguez Hills and being out there and back home. I'm going to say that's home for you back there in Slidell, Louisiana. So, again, you're watching HBTV. Again, this is that first episode of Inside the Playbook with Coach Max Ward. And I am Harry Bulgarian, your host. So, Coach, tell me about this. I think you're in a unique position, unique in the fact that, you had this opportunity. You went from NAIA, NCAA, and now you're teaching these kids at the high school level, which for me was one of my favorite times as coaching. And everybody has their different experience, but what can you say you pulled from your experiences prior to the high school level, and how has that helped you develop? How has that helped you become a better coach and seeing differently, especially with relationships with your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I've learned by, training NBA guys and or going to see Division I, high level practice, and being in all the practices that we were in, talking to so many different coaches, recruiting so many players, coaching so many different players over the years, it just gives you confidence. So when you get to the high school level, you got confidence that your experience can carry over. And one thing I've learned is, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So you don't necessarily, have to do it just this way. So many people say, well, you gotta play defense this particular style or run offense like this. And what I've learned over the years, there's multiple different ways to do it. You do have to have a core philosophy on what you want to do, but the vast experience that I've had, has really helped me become a better coach. And you got to think of all the players you work with over the years and situations you've been in. It's very challenging over the years. And so now that I'm here at NorthShore, I use my experience, how to deal with players, how to motivate them, how to help them develop and improve. I lean on that a lot, but I'm always trying to improve. And one thing I learned from you, Harry, was, you pull me aside at one of the camps and you're like, man, some of the players that are working for you, they're not too happy. You got them mad, you got them upset. And a little bit of me was just trying to be, a taskmaster per se. And maybe, I was being a little too sarcastic, like one of my mentors, Larry Hauser or something. So, but that was a great lesson for me to learn, because that was the exact opposite of how I wanted to be perceived. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you got to just take time out to tell a kid how you really feel about it. Like, man, you're awesome. You're one of my favorite guys to just kick it with or talk to. Or I love how you always listen with your eyes, or you're able to listen, learn, and apply at a high rate, or whatever the case may be. Or you do things that I can't even coach, and I love that about you. Mm-hmm. Or I love how seriously you take your academics. So I try to take time out to share those type of moments with my players, as I get older, because I know when I do coach them, I'm going to be intense, fired up, and that's just because we got to be productive, and that's how the game has to be played. And if I'm not the best player, or coach on the floor, then I can't expect them to be. So I got to be intense and revved up, ready to go. And sometimes in all that, they don't see the lighter side of me or the true intentions that I have or how I really feel about them. So, I've been really over the years just trying to have better relationships with my players. I feel like that's extremely important. And I feel like the more I do that and focus on that and focus on making them better, mm-hmm. I take a segment out of X's and O's and hard work and all that just to teach them about life skills. I might take 10, 15 minutes, and I'm talking per day, almost every day. Because so many times, they're in high school and they're trying to figure out who they want to be. Mm-hmm. But you need to, like, as a mentor or coach to them, you need to kind of explain it a little bit. I always try to coach in sound bites, and I try not to be too wordy. But sometimes I got to slow it down and just kind of talk to them about what certain things mean and why it's important and why we got to do this, and give them the why and get them to have a better understanding. And I feel like ever since I started doing that, my players have responded better, and we've won more games as a result.
That's awesome, Coach, and I love hearing that and your examples and your experiences with that, and just for the record, man, we all love you, even at that camp when everybody was having their expression. But hey, we were all learning, you were learning, we were learning, and everybody was learning, so it's all good. Yeah, man, it's like I said, some of my best experiences have been at that level with coaching at the high school level. And it's great as far as those relationships. I still keep in touch with my very first team, those players that I've ever coached, and that was back in Japan, right? That was my junior high school team. We just recently got on the Zoom. I reconnected with a couple of them, They're all
That's
married
awesome.
now, got kids, and it's just been great to connect like that. And I'm glad that your relationships that you formed with your team and the kids that you've coached, all the way, hopefully from Johnson Wales, and I'm sure now it's been solid. And so that's the thing about the title of this show. Just going inside the playbook. With the coach, it's my intent was, not just the X's and O's, but your playbook throughout your whole experience of this whole coaching thing. And I've always thought of, coaching is kind of a calling, right? Because you see people, it's like glamorized, romanticized. You see that
Right.
coach yelling on the side, but for yourself, what would you say? Like, what is the meaning of coaching to you, and how it's formed you now?
Well, um, coaching is passion, and passion is coaching. And what I figured out in life, because at a stint where I was doing insurance, and I just learned that you gotta do what you're great at, where your strengths are, and you also gotta do what you're passionate about. And every single day that I was coaching, every single day I've been teaching and coaching, I haven't worked one day in my life. And when you could say that, and when you're in the gym and people think you're putting all these hours in the gym, and golly, that's got to be tough. It's not tough at all. I mean, it's literally the funnest thing that I can do. I'm helping other players get better. I'm helping my team get better. I'm improving, and so you know, doing something that you love to do and help others at the same time. I mean, I just can't think of anything better. And what and being at North Shore High School, has really made me have a greater appreciation, you know, because it's just a great environment, and just the kids you coach are so like they're so hungry and thirsty for your knowledge, and they want to be coached, and they want to be held accountable. And I mean, and it's just great kids, great parents, great environment. And so, you know, much of what I do is kind of come full circle. Being a trainer, a father, a head coach, and former collegiate coach. It's a special time in my life right now, because my son's now a freshman at
Right.
high school, and it's just weird. He's there, on campus,
Yeah.
studying and in between workout sessions, and it's just it's special, just because the reason I got out of college, coaching college on the college level, is I wanted to make sure that I was a great dad and a great husband.
Yeah.
Uh, and now I get to do that, because you get that extra time, instead of going on that recruiting trip and driving to San Diego and watching two games, and then driving back the next night and being back at 7 a.m. workouts.
Yeah.
You're able to have a little bit of time where you can visit with the family, and that means so much to me, and then now the players that you have in the community that we're in, high school level, you're in a community, and parents aren't all over the place, and so now that's like your second family, your team. And last year, I don't know if you saw the video on my YouTube page, but and Twitter, we win our final game of the season, which should have gotten us into the playoffs. And we beat a rival, Slidell High School, very good team, beat us earlier in the season by probably like 15 to 20 points, and we ended up beating them in double overtime. And I told them in the timeout, hey guys, we're going to bring this home, take care of the ball, and we're going to go in the locker room and celebrate. Well, we get done with the game. I walk in the locker room, and they douse me with water. Everybody's going crazy. I mean, and it was just the most special moment, or one of the most special moments I've ever had in coaching.
Yeah.
Just because the kids' genuine excitement and the love, and that's what people don't understand. And to hit home the point, people don't understand the passion, why you do what you do, and why these kids work so hard, because of that one moment right there,
Right.
where everybody has that sensation and that feeling that we did it together, that moment just, it carries you for months and months and years on. And then that's something, those players who graduated and the players we got now, we'll never forget that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Again, you guys are watching HBTV. This is Inside the Playbook with my special guest tonight, Coach Max Ward. Coach, really quick, I want to get into what you think about the game currently. As far as 15 years ago when we first met, I was still coming from the Magic Johnson time where, we're always passing that ball. I'm going inside out with things, right? But so much has changed. And as far as you evolving with the X's and O's, so we're going to get a little bit into the X's and O's, and you don't have to divulge, your whole game plan is, so anybody else that's watching in your league or conference is going to be like, I know what coach is going to do. But I mean, what's your philosophy and what do you think about the game now? Is what I'm saying.
Well, when I was first-time assistant, we played Chico State, and they had somewhat of like a athletic four-man who could shoot it a little bit. And we had, this tough dude, Mike Crawford, and we had Kevin Blunt. Kevin Blunt walking 20 and 10. He's one of the leaders in field goal percentage in Dominguez Hill's history, right? So you give it to him, you get in the bucket down low. Mike Crawford, he was more of a, your typical power forward, strong, and he could get you buckets. We're playing them, we're going up and down the court, and just, each, as you went first half, second half, just they're gaining. They hit a couple shots. We can't go back down and answer quick enough to win. So right then and there, I saw the four-man just going away. And even right now, the current way the game is, if it was me, and not to hate on any of the power forwards in the world today, but I just wouldn't draft any power forwards unless they were like extremely special, like Anthony Davis or something. And even him, he's somewhat of a center that can play like a power forward, let's say. Because nowadays, your wings are some of the dominant players in the NBA. And obviously point guards have always been dominant with the ball. But I love the way the game's going. My son, he's a very good shooter, right? He shoots 50% from three in middle school, last couple of years, most leader in school history, right? And shooting threes. But to shoot 50%, you would think, well, that's crazy. Nobody can do that. But he can do it because of the way the game is played. He's played with some really good players while he was there, and they made the game easy for him. But being that the game, you don't have coaches, telling guys don't shoot the three ball or don't, drive and go strong to the hole, but also drive and kick, with this free flowing style. Coaches, like his middle school coach, Coach Walsh, they would allow them to push the ball and spray the ball all around, and guys would hit shots. And in the way the game's being played now they want everybody to be drivers and kickers, hit threes. As long as you're open, you pretty much have the green light in most situations. And the tempo of the game is being played faster.
Right.
And love that. That's the type of style of play we're going to play. Last year, we tried to get going faster, play faster. We weren't able to play as fast as I would like to. But I want to push the pace. I want that ball to be flowing. And I want guys to have freedom to shoot shots and hit shots and make mistakes. So if you have more possessions, you can make a few mistakes, and guys, and then also, I want to play great defense, just like we did at Dominguez Hills. We were the best defensive teams in the country. And so, you're going to start things there, and able to get great rebounds and run or steals and run. And that'll increase the pace, so it all starts there. But I just love the free-flowing offense nowadays with various guys able to handle and drive and kick. And the bigs nowadays, they're not all just sitting on the block. They're able to shoot threes as well and move without the ball. So a staple of what we do is move without the ball. I mean, I call it our offensive DNA.
Nice.
It's drive. And then a part of our culture is just being unselfish.
Yeah.
play together, drive, kick, move without the ball, and then create for others. The first thing I told our guys today, our freshmen, is you got to try to get someone else open before you get open. And if you're doing that, whether you got the ball and or you're setting a screen or just cutting really hard and drawing the defense in, then that allows other people to get open, and then it just creates a domino effect. Once you start one domino of creating an advantage or putting the defense at a disadvantage, now the dominoes fall, and now before you know it, you either get an open shot, you got them in a scramble, and that's just a beautiful way to play the game.
You ever heard of the Grinnell System, Coach?
I think I have. Oh yeah, where they sub them in and out. Am I right?
Well, no. I think this is where the system, the guru of Go from Loyola Marymount. I think this is where he got it from. But he just got a dedicated ball carrier and dedicated shooter. They keep screening for that shooter. So maybe we get Drew on that shooter and he just keeps shooting. But check it out. It's called the Grinnell System. I think they were like a junior college at one point. I don't know if they're if they're like a D2 now. But anyways, before I let you go, we're closing up on the time. Just what would be your message? What would be your message to anybody that's looking into getting to the coaching ranks? That 18-year-old, 19-year-old, fire in his eyes, and just wants to be that D1 or that pro coach like Spoelstra or Riley or something like that. What would you tell that young man or woman?
Yeah, definitely just go for it. First of all, you got to believe in yourself to do it, and then you just got to pay your dues. Eric Spoelstra worked his way up from being in the film room, and working his way up with the Heat to being the head coach. And if basketball is your passion, there's countless, professional coaches, assistant coaches, head coaches that are making a living for their families right now, that have just, put their time in from day one and worked their way up the ladder. So if you have the love for the game, then just try to become a volunteer. The secret to kind of getting your foot in the door was just say, hey, I'll work your basketball camp for free. They end up paying you usually, but just kind of like you came to me and you wanted to get in and you wanted to work for free. You just wanted to be a part of something special and help out. And that's pretty much the way to do it. And if you're around and you're able to help out, maybe when they need you most, then that's the way to get your foot in the door. And once you get your foot in the door, don't let it close. Kick that door down. Be the best at what you do every step of the way. So if you're going to be the manager, be the best manager they've ever seen. And that is the way to do it. And do it through good relationships and doing things right. Doing what's right, but doing things right. And another thing is on your journey, and this is where I've faltered in my life at times, is you get discouraged. You get setbacks. You don't get that job you wanted, or you don't get that promotion, or people didn't do things that you wanted them to do. Look, hey, at the end of the day, that's just a challenge, and all you got to do is keep working at it, keep grinding, and you're going to find your way. Winners find their way. You work hard enough, and you got a goal, and you set your mind on that, you're going to achieve it. And be very specific on what you want. If you say you want to be a college coach, you might be a college coach. You might be an assistant coach at a Division III, and maybe that's what you want. But if you want to be a Division I coach, you need to be specific. Say, I want to be a Division I head coach. And guess what's going to happen? Most likely, you're going to be a Division I head coach. So, there's nothing that's unattainable. We can do anything. But again, it's got to be your passion, and you got to have strengths in those areas.
Awesome, Coach. And one thing you mentioned about Spoelstra in the film room, I remember that D Hills film room, brother. We used to roll out the big TV on the cart. It was like a VHS at first, and then it became the CD player, then the MacBook Pro. But I'm sure North Shore has better technology now than the than the TV we used to roll out for Film Room. Just really quick, we got Coach March on the chat right here, and we also got Dinner Time Trayvon Bryant, who's joined us in the chat as well. But before I let you go, any other messages or any other thoughts, any other shout outs you want to give out before I let you go, Coach?
Yeah, just I know a lot of Mink Seals followers, or guys that we used to coach back then are probably listening, like March and those guys. And shout out to those guys. I don't get a chance to talk to those guys as much. I know when I went from California to Louisiana, I changed my phone number, and but just I miss those guys, love those guys, and I learned a great deal from March as a fellow assistant coach. He taught me a bunch. Hey, March, I'm running your offense right now. Everything you're trying to beat me upside the head with, I'm right now. So dunk in. But guys like Trayvon Bryant and just there's countless amount of guys that I enjoyed being around in California. So I want to say what's up to them, and just whatever you do, try to do it your best. And the last thing I want to say is I kind of been on this is compete, man. I used to always try to work hard, but competing brings me up a whole nother level. I would try to shine anybody, but when I think of competing, it allows me to take what I learned from being a player. What can I take from being a player and apply it to life? And for me, it's being competitive every single day, trying to be the best at what I do. And now that I put that at the forefront of my mind, it gives me an advantage or an edge on being a great at practice, or a great in-game coach, because I feel like I'm competing against the other coach, but I'm also competing to be better than I ever was. So that just sits. I make my team say it every day. Compete. We say family together. To end every practice, we start every practice with compete.
And Trayvon just chimed in. He said, I learned a lot from your work ethic. That's what he said. And also, I wanted to throw this in as well. I believe Coach March said a lot of your success came from Coach March as well. So that guy. Well, anyways, Coach, I do want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for kicking it off. You were the first one off, to bat here with this series, and I do thank you for your time. Blessings and much love and success. I love you, brother. Good to see you. Good to hear you, and good to see your face. I'm glad everything is good out there in Louisiana for you and your family. Please give your family a hug and love from us over here in Cali, from my family to yours, brother. So you have a good night. Be safe with all the hurricane warnings and watches. I will be in touch, and hopefully in the future I can get you back on the show and just do a recap and see where you're at, with how the season goes for this year. Take care of yourself, yep. Coach, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later. All right, so that was our guest tonight, Coach Max Ward, Slidell, Louisiana. He's out there at NorthShore High School basketball team with the boys varsity. Great guy, great coach. Learned a lot from the guy. Great mentor and great friend, great person. So check him out. Follow him on Instagram and on Twitter as well. Go ahead and look at NorthShore, the basketball team out there in Slidell. And thank you for your time, everybody, for viewing and watching and chiming in as well. Again, we're going to have a couple more episodes of this in this series, Inside the Playbook with. Our next guest for next week is going to be actually Coach March, El Segundo boys basketball varsity team. He's going to join us on the show. We're going to go inside the playbook with him and talk a little bit about his journey, his experiences as well here on the show. So if you haven't already, please do me that favor. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and even share the YouTube channel. Hit that little bell. You'll get alerts when we go on live. And I'll see you guys next time on HBTV Inside the Playbook. See you guys later. Have a good night.